Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you're looking to retire early with forever passive income, you're in the right place. This podcast is the go-to destination for real estate investors, both active and passive, and multifamily apartment investors, both new, intermediate, and advanced. Now, sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So, hey, Tone, listen, man, so excited to have you on Accelerated Investor, a fellow Yellow Jacket. Man, it's so good to have you on. I know we've been trying to get you scheduled up for a while, so thanks for jumping on.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity. Looking forward to catching up with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. As you guys heard in the intro, me and Tone have been friends for going on 25 years now. We played college ball together. He played running back. I was blocking for him. I played tight end. Sometimes it was a little bit of a, play action. They'd fake the ball to Tone and throw it to the poor tight ends once in a while. So,
passing offense.
Yeah, that's right. And we're going to talk a little bit about playing offense in real estate today. And so, Tone, why don't we just start, man? Like, tell the audience about what you're up to. Like, what are some projects that you're working on, some deals that you're working on? Like, what are you working on in today's market that you're excited about?
Man, I appreciate you asking. It's a good time to be in real estate. The market's very much booming. Most investors are doing well. And so, I'm really, really excited about helping my clients grow their portfolio. One of the things we've been working on the last few years and is helping our clients grow their portfolio here in Northeast Ohio using our multifamily strategy. And so a lot of our clients are buy and hold investors. And so we work different strategies for different investors, but so we're really excited about that. We recently just had a bus tour. We brought in some outside investors from outside of Ohio to see some of the different properties in different areas of the city, east and west, and kind of gave investors a firsthand view of what the market is like and what you can acquire properties for and what kind of return is possible and things of that nature. So the bus tour went really, really well. We got great reviews, and so we were happy about that.
Got it. So, Tone, help the audience understand a little bit more about how you're helping investors. So you guys not only own your own portfolio, but you guys also do property management, kind of the full suite of services. So if somebody did want to invest in Cleveland, maybe they live in California or they live somewhere else, and they wanted to actually hire you, give our audience the presentation or the quick pitch about what are all the services and things you guys do for clients who want to be passive investors.
Oh man, that's a great question. That's really a layup. I appreciate it.
Sure.
It's like you're still blocking for me, right? At the assist.
I just handed you the ball. The offensive line made a hole, so you could drive a truck through it, man. All you got to do is run.
My man, I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's really a typical client for us. Most of our clients want to be passive investors. They don't want to deal with the day-to-day and hands-on approach to real estate. So those clients really look to us and our fleet of services for what we're doing as far as helping clients from A to Z, from acquisition to acquire some off-market and distressed properties, along with some on-market opportunities. Most investors know that the returns are a little better off market, sure, right? And so we are actively looking for those opportunities with our field crews. And so we're helping clients on the acquisition side. Once we get them acquired, we've got a few crews that are doing renovations and getting the properties market ready. And so once they're market ready, we'll turn them over to our management team and start to manage the property and just get that long-term cap that they're looking for, that long-term return. So we've got a pretty good team that we've put together over the years. It took some time to get there, as anybody in real estate knows, but it's been a great journey, and we're happy about where things are going.
Fantastic. Love it. Guys, you can check out tonerobinson.com, Tone Robinson.com. There you can find everything that Tone does, from speaking to his books, to his property management, to his suite of services. We've got a lot of people that listen to this podcast from all over the country. Many of you know, maybe you've heard the recent podcast I did with Darren Bloomquist, my friend Darren, who's the VP of Market Economics at auction.com. We talked about on that podcast about why the Midwest is so profitable for both flip investors and for rental investors. And so if you see that from Darren and you're like, wow, the Midwest is a great market, I want to get in the Midwest, but maybe you live somewhere else, then Tone is maybe a bridge to help you get into this market and make some investments there. Tone, you've been in the game a long time, just like I have. You've created a niche for yourself. You've been super successful. Your strategy is not only your own rentals, but also managing for other investors.
Sure.
Why don't you talk a little bit about your book, The Offensive Playbook, the 9 rules for guaranteed real estate success. You can, again, my audience can download that book for free at tonerobinson.com. But there's a few of these that are kind of your favorites, a few of your best practices, if you will, the guarantees, the things that you have to do it right.
Absolutely.
Maybe the top 3 or 4. What are some things that you feel, with your experience, that investors, the rules they need to follow to have this guaranteed success in real estate?
That's important to ask, and I appreciate you asking. So really, the number one rule is self-assessment. As an investor, as a beginner, or as an experienced investor, you have to know what you bring to the marketplace. And so really understanding the market that you want to get into, whether it's a different city or a different market than where you currently live, you can certainly do that, but it's important to do some homework on those market areas and see what's going on in those marketplaces. What are the trends in the market? Everybody knows, as we learned in school, real estate, follows the macroeconomic environment.
That's right.
Who do you hear in your head right now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Packard, Snell. Come on, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, real estate follows the market. And so it's important to kind of understand the trends and where things are going and what you as an investor bring to the marketplace. You asked earlier about what are some folks who are looking for passive investment. How can they look at the Midwest and be successful? It's really important to have that bridge, which is that boots on the ground person that can give you those assessments off market that will bring some great returns to your portfolio. And so just number one, I would say understanding the marketplace and yourself and what you bring to the environment as an investor. As a West Coast investor, the market is different West Coast as far as pricing. It's 8-10 times what it is in typically in the Midwest or Cleveland. And so bringing those West Coast dollars to Cleveland, you can buy 10 properties for what you can buy, 1 for in California. So the Midwest is really important for that. Markets like Cleveland, Detroit, St. Louis are really important. Number 2, one of the other rules that I find is kind of really understanding the market, the market valuations, where your returns are going to come from, and how to manage that process. Property management is really where you can lose your shirt, managing the contractors and that sort of thing, as anybody in real estate knows. So kind of understanding the market and where things are going, where those trends are going. And then finally, have an exit strategy. It's not a good investment unless you have multiple ways to get out of the investment, right?
Right. That's why we like play action, man. We can hand it off to the running back like you, throw it to a guy like me in the middle who was not that fast, but sometimes I was open. Or you can throw it deep to Papashak or, one of the
Papashak. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Papashak.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Me and Tone are dropping some names, some guys that we played ball with. It's been a while, but we've stayed in touch. It's been good. So exit strategies, Tone. So exit strategy, buy and hold for 2 to 5 years and sell, keep long-term and refi. What are your investors most commonly doing? I know you guys are doing the property management stuff, so they're trying to keep these for long-term cash flow, right?
Sure, absolutely. So most of our clients are what you would call in today's world BRRRR investors. So they're buying, renovating them, and kind of following that strategy for long-term growth, like you mentioned. Yeah, so most of our investors are using the BRRRR strategy, where they're looking to have long-term gains for 2 to 10 years to kind of realize some of those returns over time. It's kind of tough to get over 10% in the market nowadays. unless you're doing some alternative strategies. And so the Midwest has consistently done a little better than 12% or so, in my opinion. And so that's been attractive for most investors who are looking for some of those returns to kind of hedge the inflation bets, right? So you got to consider everything when you're looking to invest.
That's right. That's great, Tone. My assessment in real estate has always been that the number one risk is contractor risk, right? You're like, yeah, right. You're laughing. No, right. Well, there's so many people that are like, well, what about the risk of inflation? What about the risk of interest rates going up? I'm like, what about getting your shirt totally ripped off your back by a contractor? That's, to me, like, we've lost money on some deals. It's always been because of a bad contractor, right? Such an important. So any thoughts or comments that you have on finding, securing, and managing contractors? Because that, to me, is managing, like, with right now with our apartment complexes, just take our Cleveland portfolio, we've got a $6.5 million CapEx budget right now. And we do a great job of contractors. We've got a great VP of construction. It's the only place that could give me heartburn. I'm not really worried about inflation or interest rates as much as I'm worried about freaking contractors. So How do you guys manage them? How do you look for them? How do you help your clients manage that risk?
Man, listen, I'll tell you that really is the magic pill to the business. There is no magic pill.
Yeah, sure.
It's a daily grind, right? So what we've been able to do over the years is we've been able to have a steady stream of contractors and handyman that we've been able to rely on to kind of do some of the smaller maintenance items. And then when it comes to the larger scale projects, just really having a project manager that can oversee the project. And that's been the biggest thing for us, is kind of overseeing that person and that process to make sure we have good people that are boots on the ground. For us, for our multifamilies, we've got, great plumbers and electricians and folks that are boots on the ground that we can call. And sometimes if we're a little late, they'll hang out at the house for us. That's really all about relationships. And so just having those relationships built over time certainly matters in this business. Everything in real estate is about relationships. So just being able to have those over time kind of has helped us be successful as far as managing the portfolio that we have personally and some of our clients.
Got it. Yeah, I love it. And I would just add, look, if you can eliminate half of the risk with a contractor, meaning buy the materials yourself. So giving a piece of advice to our audience.
Of course, that's a minimum expectation.
You buy the material, like get a list from the contractor of what they need. You might not know everything about plumbing. So if you need some sort of diverter valve, right, and you're not sure what the heck that is, just get a list of everything that they need. Go buy it. So the materials are on site. You're going to get the best price. There's not going to be any markup.
Absolutely.
And let your contractors simply provide the labor only, right?
That's correct. That's been a strategy we follow for a long time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So Tone, let's back up for a minute. You've had a lot of success building your portfolio. You've coached and mentored people. You're doing bus tours. You have clients from all over the country and all over the world investing in Cleveland. But this didn't all start yesterday. You started somewhere, and often the start is not super smooth. My start was certainly not smooth, right? Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. So tell our audience a little bit more about your start and how you got going.
Well, it's an interesting story, man. I mean, you certainly can relate to my journey. Is I kind of got an interest in real estate in college, being in a marketing class with Pierre David, professor at that time.
Pierre David, I haven't heard that name in 27 years. Yeah. Wow.
He's the chair of the department now.
Is he really?
Yeah. So,
did he know anything about marketing? I don't know if he knew a lot about marketing back then. Hopefully he knows.
Well, I mostly took his classes for finance, right? But But he used to just tell these crazy stories about contractors that were in his property working on his house for 2 or 3 days and couldn't figure it out. And, he's like, well, shit, I got a master's degree. Why come I can't figure out this plumbing issue? This guy's been under my sink for 3 days. So, so he would just always tell these interesting stories about real estate. And he was teaching a lot of finance classes, like I mentioned. And, just kind of an interesting question I asked at one time of, if you're teaching all this, why aren't you doing it? And he said, well, I have real estate to supplement my salary as a professor, because I want to be involved with my daughters and my kids growing up. And so, for me, that kind of started my peak and my interest in real estate. And, I wanted to find a way to pay back Sally Mae once I graduated.
That's right. Loans, I had a couple of those. You bet.
Absolutely. So, I bought my first rental property the week I graduated undergrad.
Did you really?
I did. I bought a 3-unit. That was my first. Yeah. So I was house hacking before it was.
Man. You got started right away. You're like, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to graduate, get my diploma, walk away from football, and buy a house.
Absolutely. So, I'd already been working at the bank part-time while I was in college the whole time, working at MBNA, which is turned into Bank of America. And, I had different roles at that time, but, just learning about credit, learning about, banking procedures and basics and things of that nature kind of gave me some of those real world basics that you don't always get in college. And so, once I started taking some of those independent study classes with Pierre David about real estate, it really kind of piqued my interest. And so once I bought that first 3-unit, that was a way to pay back some of my student loans and still keep my job at the bank, which I was now full-time at. So I ended up staying in banking for 15 years. And I always had rental property on the side. And, when I started a family, I always, hey, I need to get more property. Yeah. Right.
I love
it. Yeah, man. So that was kind of my journey. And so after I wanted to make a transition and really get out of banking and kind of do my own thing, I started managing property. That's kind of what I knew best, was real estate and finance. And so I started managing my own property and started managing property for others. And it was a slow grind at first, kind of doing some of those nitty gritty maintenance items that, nobody wants to do. But we kind of built our team over time and built our portfolio. So we've been in management full time for 12 years.
I love it. Tone, now that you've had success, I got two. I want to put these two questions together. What kind of advice would you give our audience, right? We've got an audience of multifamily investors. We've got some, single family residential investors, intermediate to advanced that are looking to get into multifamily. Based on your experience, your journey, what you actually saw in the field, what kind of advice would you give them? Maybe, or what advice would you give your young kids about real estate? What advice would you pass along to your younger former self that you think, hey, I would have done more of this or less of that? And then I also want to know your favorite memory from playing football at BW. So let's start with the advice, and then tell me about your favorite memory.
Okay, got it. So advice, man, is one of those things we kind of, as we're coaching others, we're also learning, right? And so, that kind of gives me an opportunity to reflect and look back on my journey a little bit, as I'm also helping other people. And so, as far as advice, the best thing I can say is be creative. The market has its ups and downs, like we mentioned, and just being creative and kind of understanding the market and where things are going, where the trends are going. But stick to your strategy. Stick to your particular strategy that works for you and your family. That's the most important thing. You can obviously do a ton of things in real estate, from wholesaling to multifamily to apartments to, everything, single family. But you have to stick with what works for you and your family. And so that's most important, following the trends, educating yourself about the market, but also doing what works for you and your family. And then also, most important, having an exit strategy.
I love it.
Just kind of following those simple rules that I kind of learned over time has been helpful for me and my clients. And we've kind of followed the playbook. We don't reinvent the wheel. So we're just following the playbook. And so that was the reason for the title of the book. Of course, my love of football.
Right.
So you asked about my favorite memory from BW. On the field or off the field?
Let's start with on, but since you brought up off, I'm curious to see where that goes, considering some of the things you did off the field. Let's talk about on the field first.
Okay. On the field. So I have two. Okay.
Okay.
The first is, as you know, we played on that hard ass AstroTurf back in the day, right? It wasn't this sport turf that they have today.
Oh my God, that turf! Like, I mean, I still have scars on my elbows and my knees.
So that's where I was going with it. That's exactly where I was going with it. So one of my memories was seeing other guys get these turf burns, right? Mm-hmm. That they would, have their, skin ripped off. And so that was, so I always wondered why, guys, and then they would be out for a week because then they get infection and all of that, right? Yeah. And so I never wanted to get a turf burn. So I always wore long sleeves and, high socks. Yeah. I got one turf burn. I didn't get it until my sophomore year, but I got one turf burn. And from then on out, I was done, right? No more turf burns for me. I covered up head to toe, right?
Nice. You're so fast. You still have the shakes. I love it.
Man, the shakes, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knows me for having the shakes, right?
Oh,
so my best on-field in-game moment was, I guess, against John Carroll, getting about 20 carries and having a good game, and we beat John Carroll.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. I was blocking my butt off for you, man. I might have caught one or two balls.
And then
I probably blocked 90% of the time that game.
Man, listen. Off-field memories, really one of the things you missed, and I did get an opportunity to play a little semi-pro after college, so I got a little bit of that camaraderie, but what you miss most from not playing the game is just the camaraderie with all of the fellas, being on the bus rides, the pizza night, before the games.
Yeah, right. Remember we watched Fantasia one night remember Friday night? Packard.
Always Friday night.
Put on Disney Fantasia for like the team meeting, and we were sitting around eating pizza and watching
pizza
to get ready to play a game the next day.
Always pizza. Why was it always pizza?
I don't know. Like, was there nothing else we could eat besides pizza? It was always just the same. And
Friday night after high school game.
Once in a while, it was Disney movies. I didn't get it. What was he thinking?
No idea, man. But we always have pretty good teams, so I guess it worked, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we always did pretty good. That's right, we did. We always had pretty good teams. Yeah, man, that's fantastic stuff. Tone, listen, man, it's absolutely fantastic to catch up with you. My audience, listen, there's so much you can learn from Tone. Go to tonerobinson.com, TONE Robinson.com.
That's a branding thing.
To real estate, you're gonna love it. Don't any other kind of parting shots, words of advice that you'd like to give our audience before we wrap up today?
Real estate, like any industry, has its ups and downs. It's one of those industries, like we mentioned, that follows kind of the macro environment. And so everybody's predicting whether the market's going to go up or go down and what's going on in real estate. The most important thing is just educating yourself about the market that you're looking to get into and what you want to do. I use real estate as a tool for multi-generational wealth for my family. So yeah, that was the title of my next book, The Power of Generational Wealth. And we use real estate as a tool, like money, right? As a tool to build generational wealth for my family and for other families and the clients that we work with. And so the Midwest has provided great returns for our clients, and it's been a great market for some time. And for folks that are looking to get into real estate, whether you're anywhere in the marketplace, the Midwest is a great start because of the low barrier to entry. It's got great pricing to get in, usually for under $100,000 or less. As you know, and so whether it's multifamily, single family, obviously apartments and commercial are a little larger, but those opportunities exist in the Midwest. And if you're looking for a bridge to get your boots on the ground, certainly look us up, DTS Property Management. And for our clients who are looking for private client services, tonerobinson.com. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, jackets. Look at us, man. 25 years later, still hanging out and talking, man. Tone, it's been great having you on today on Accelerated.
Absolutely.
Man, thanks for being here.
I appreciate the time. Thank you. Check in soon.
You were just listening to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you enjoyed this episode and learned something new, help us build the AI community by leaving a review and 5-star rating on our iTunes podcast channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. To see passive investing opportunities, visit freelandventures.com/passive. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of with multifamily apartments, apply for one-on-one coaching with Josh at www.joshcantwellcoaching.com.